We're just
Thank you all for joining us today.
today.
Juliet and I are having a very, very fun time here. We planned for this discussion, and I'm leading today's conversation, but Juliet will be a very integral part of the conversation. And we typically get together before the
really, really good hair day.
well, there we go. That's the whole reason we did this today, was Juliet wanted to make sure she had good hair. So what we do beforehand is the two of us discuss topics that we think would be really helpful to somebody building a direct sales business. And today's conversation that we came down to stemmed from an experience that I had over the last week. And I'll tell you a little bit about the background on that. And that was that I got a call around the holidays from a woman whose sister-in-law's husband, or her sister's husband, her brother-in-law, is a J.Hilburn client. And this woman said, I live in Michigan. My boyfriend lives in San Francisco. I'm coming out there. I'd love to give him a J.Hilburn experience of helping him to understand fitted clothing. And I think it would look great on him. And I think he'd really value the whole idea of what J.Hilburn's all about. I've seen my brother-in-law, he looks great in the clothes, and my boyfriend is tall, and I know it's not that easy for him to find clothes that fit him really well. So we put together a plan, and I went out and met the two of them when she was in town. I measured him, and she bought him a beautiful shirt, and he picked out a windstopper, zip up the front and button sport coat, really cool option, great for the Bay Area. He picked out a beautiful pair of pants that complemented that, trousers, dress trousers, and a herringbone quarter zip sweater. Great. That all happens. The things come in. I make my appointment to go to his fitting. She is in Michigan. He is here. And we said, we'll put her on Zoom. So I head over to his home, and I come in with his clothes and show him everything. He's super excited about it. She's just thrilled. And he tries everything on, everything fits beautifully. And I knew with this gentleman, and it was something I sensed about him, a lot of stylists will prepare a style board for a meeting like that to show him other things that could work with this. I knew about him. He's a physician, he's an educator, he travels internationally, but I knew that his MO was that he needed to think about this for a while, because he didn't buy that windstopper without thinking about it. When we picked it out, he said, give me 24 hours or so to really look at this and see if I think this is a good idea. So I didn't go in there guns ablaze and here's other things you can buy. Instead, what I did after a meeting was I spent almost an hour just talking with him and getting to know him.
How much was the sale? What was the total?
Probably close to $2,000.
Okay, so it wasn't a huge sale, considering the
No.
windstopper is probably
900 or a little
900.
more.
So it was a windstopper and a couple of pieces. So it was a nice, solid first sale.
Yeah, I mean, the pants were probably 300. The shirt was 200. That's 500. It was probably 1,700 plus tax.
A good size first sale.
Yes, exactly.
Not a $10,000 first sale, just a nice first sale. Okay.
Yeah. So we talked about politics, which a lot of people would never do with their clients. I sometimes do. I don't care what they believe. It's just an interesting topic. And then I happened to bring up an idea that I've had that I wanted to kind of test as a trial balloon for him to see if this is something that would work. And I've had this idea that I think it'd be really helpful if we had a video of different size men in our shirts. Just using shirts as an example of one product. It could be knits, it could be sport coats, it could be suits, whatever, but showing a very quick 30-second or less video that says we fit all different types of people. And I said, if we had something like that and I sent it to you, would you share that with a few people that you know? And he looked at me and said, no. I went, you wouldn't? I said, tell me more about that. So we got into quite an interesting discussion about referrals for him. So that was what we wanted to talk about today, was referrals.
So basically what he said to you was, I will not be your referral partner. Distilling this all down to the fact that you said to him, will you help me? And he said, thanks, but no thanks.
Exactly. And so my feeling was, I want to know why he wouldn't, because there are many of us that have been in this business as long as I have, or not as long as I have, who wonder why our men clients don't refer us that much. And what would it take to get them to refer us more? So we got into this conversation, and his words to me was, Christine, I don't want to be anyone's shill. Now look up that word, SHILL, shill. But basically what he's saying is, I'm not here to sell your stuff.
Right. It's not my job.
Not my job. So we sat and talked about why that felt uncomfortable for him. And what he would have said at that point was, this is what's interesting. He said, if I were to talk to somebody about this experience, what my reference point to them would be J.Hilburn. There's this great clothing brand called J.Hilburn. I said, so it would have nothing to do with me. I'm devastated, of course, at this point. I'm crestfallen. I'm like, what did I do wrong? And he said, it would be the clothes. I said, wow, well, what would it take, was sort of where I was going, for it to be me? What would it take for you to look at me as the reference point? And he said, well, the thing that you've done really well is that you've taken time to understand my life. And the more time that one of your reps takes to understand who is their client, do they travel a lot, do they present, all of those things, that you really have to have a conversation with them. And you really have to get to know them. And they have to know that where you're coming from is your goal is to help them build a lean wardrobe. So my language with my clients is, I help you build a lean wardrobe of clothes that fit your body and your life. Well, how do I do that? And then what does it really mean to have done that? Does it mean that I'm available to you if you've got a big meeting and you're presenting and you want a quick insight into your wardrobe and what should you wear? I would be responsive to a client that asked me that. I'd quickly put a board together with, wear this, or I might just send them some photos of the fabrics that they have and make those part of what they could choose from, like wear either this shirt or this shirt and then put these pants and this jacket on. So creating that value proposition of who we are, doing that little bit of extra in the level of service that you provide to your clients, so that you really are not just a transactional, I'm selling you clothes kind of person. And that's what he responded to. And that's what he said. Yeah. Wow, that really would make a difference. That is the kind of thing that I want to believe in. So we sat and talked for an hour. And at the end of it, he said, well, I actually do have a friend who loves clothing and looks really good in it. He has a stylist. And I said, well, that's interesting. I work with other men who have stylists, and I help their stylist with the custom pieces that they want. And she might still shop for them outside of that, realm. And he said, I would think about introducing you to him. And let me think on that, was what he said. Let me think about it.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think that sometimes our clients don't think about referring us out, and they don't really want to refer us out. But if we develop the relationship with them, they don't want to leave us. So we have to become invaluable to them. Or we can, like I always ask my clients, how can I promote your business? Sometimes I ask that at the end of an appointment, and they're always surprised when I become their referral partner.
Right.
And then, occasionally they will think of me as a referral, but it doesn't happen often.
Yeah.
No matter what, it's just not something that I think high profile men, it does not come to them naturally. I mean, my husband has never once referred me out, because his answer is, if it ever goes south, he does not want to be associated with me and a bad relationship with his client who he referred me to, that somehow it went down the pooper.
Yeah. Well, and my husband would never refer me to anyone he worked with. And he worked in a bank. He had plenty of people he was riding that elevator with every day who were prospects for me.
Yeah. Same with my husband. Same thing.
I have a few of his friends as clients. They're modest, very modest buyers, barely, if I sell them $200 in a year, it would be a lot. But I learned very quickly to go elsewhere for my referrals. But my thought for our audience here today is the fact that you need to take the time to get to know your clients, and you need to establish up front how long a first appointment takes. I have no qualms about saying to somebody, a first appointment is typically 60 to 90 minutes. That's how long it will take for me to learn about you, which is a really important and integral part of my helping you, because what I want to be as a trusted advisor to you, I'm not here to sell you clothes. I actually say that to people. And then I also will add, we need to measure, we need to pick out what you're purchasing today. And that takes a little bit of time. So if we can set aside that much time, I think you'll find it goes very fast. And typically people say to me afterwards, wow, either we got a lot done in a short amount of time. I had a sale last week with a client who called me out of the blue saying, I've gained 25 pounds, I need clothes and I need them now. And I said, well, I can be here there this afternoon or this evening. He said, tonight, 7:00. In 20 minutes, we spent $2,500.
Right, because you know your client. And I think that's the whole point, is you get to know your client, you become a value-added resource to them, and the goal is your clients won't ever shop away. And when they do choose to shop away, which I have had happen, when they do choose to shop away because they think somehow that proper cloth or not standard, not sure if there's
or some store
is a better value or offers something that we don't, they shop away and they come back hat in hand, as they say, realizing that what we offer as their value-added partner is far better than anything they can find on the street.
Yeah. Well, this guy was in desperate straits and he had the bags from his shopping that day. He'd actually gone to the store because he was leaving on a trip and he needed clothes that fit him. He couldn't get away with not buying some things. So I'll be very curious if those things end up being given away to Goodwill once he has clothes that are properly fitted to him, because he is that guy. He's not super, he doesn't want everything super tight, but he wants to look good and he can afford to look good.
Yeah. So, and so Christine and I sort of did a little pre-work on this call. And the other thing that I've done with clients when we're talking about being that value-added partner is not only getting to know your client extremely well, but if you have a client that is a senior partner in a firm or a senior partner in a real estate firm, or in my case, it was a senior partner in a financial services firm, while they're not willing to maybe refer you out to their buddies, what they might be willing to do is invite you in as the trusted expert. And I have done in the past, gone into various firms as the trusted expert and done a presentation. I'm going to briefly share with you a couple of the different presentations that I've done. One of them really kept me busy during COVID, and another one I've done in firms where they've got interns coming in. I shouldn't say interns, like they're young kids coming in. So I'm going to share screen.
They're new employees.
They're new employees. They actually call them interns, but yeah, they're new employees. They're in the financial services firm. A lot of these kids come in fresh out of college. So they really want to help them sort of develop their look for working on the street. So we're really lucky. This is going to work exactly the way I want it to.
Well, you're doing that, Juliet. I'm going to share the funny thing that happened was, while Juliet and I were planning this call, a text came in and I looked at it when we hung up. And it was actually the client that I'd met last weekend for the fitting, the physician, saying, I have 2 colleagues that I'd like to introduce you to. And I texted Juliet because we'd hung up when I read that text. And I said, well, son of a gun, look who came through for me.
That's pretty good that you had that conversation. So hopefully this is recording the way I want it to. I'm going to quickly go through this. By no means, normally these Dress for Success presentations that I do take about half an hour, but I'm going to flip through these slides so super fast. This is a Dress for Success presentation that I do at Northwestern Mutual and most of the financial services firms that I do. This is how to create a great first impression. I can go in and I have these in the can that I can pull up at literally, you could call me today and I could be in your office this afternoon. Please tell me this is going to work. Yeah, so I really tell them a little bit about me. Then I show them a couple of people that I've dressed. I show them a couple of glow ups. These are my kids. I always tell them a little bit about women and men because a lot of times they want me to cater to women, and I will then turn them over to, I've got a couple of female friends at Carlisle, and I will turn them over to Carlisle. But it's really important to build rapport. And Christine and I have talked about this. It's really not me about, it's not about me selling J.Hilburn as much as it is offering myself up as an expert. You know, useful tips that the men can say, oh, she actually knows what she's talking about. Showing who we've done. These are old, as you can see, talking a little bit about the women. And then during COVID, I talked a little bit about your on-camera image. And then you have less than 90 seconds to make a first impression. Some people might even say 30 seconds. And it's our job to give you the best chance to be successful, not just a chance. And this picture was something I think Sarah Ramsey had at one point.
Yeah.
And then that's it. So that is that particular presentation. But this other one, which is really old, geared only towards interns, and I will do this one. It's my favorite one to do. I will say to the interns, I'll start and I'll bring all the interns in and I'll say, I have a $50 gift card to anybody who's wearing white socks with their blue pants. And invariably, I will get somebody who's still wearing white socks with their blue pants. And this one's super simple. It's just talking about sabotage versus success. I always show Peyton Manning because it's important here to see that he is buttoning all his buttons, and I build rapport by saying, you know what, guys? The guy's got a stylist and he still can't dress himself right.
I see that way too frequently.
Way too frequently, right? So what's the basic style rule? Is Peyton Manning breaking here? And then we talk of some of these pictures you saw on the other. His suit is too big. This is the jacket fit. Pants are too long. Trousers that fit. Mistaken messy shirts. You know, white socks. That's where I give out the $50 gift card.
And bad shoes.
Bad shoes. You know, wrong tie length, belt color, you know, that last button. Then we talk about business casual, blazers, a little bit of the J.Hilburn fit. Research suggests that a person's appearance alone can trump knowledge. Basically, if you're not the smartest guy in the room, you better be the best dressed. And that is the end of that presentation. These presentations, I will have to say, always work, and you can get them done in a very short period of time. It is not about selling J.Hilburn. It is about building rapport. It is about telling the audience that you are the expert. And trust me when I say this, they will appreciate the fact that you go in and let them know that you bring a level of knowledge into the room without saying, J.Hilburn is the best. And then after the presentation, people will come up to you, they will talk to you. You may not sell anything that day, but trust me when I say this, you will have a list of clients that will call you afterwards. I have built my business 10 years into this on these lunch and learns, and these clients come back to me over and over and over again, and they will say, oh, I heard your lunch and learn. I thought it was so insightful that you talked about blah, blah, blah. Because if J.Hilburn is one thing, it is fit and style over anything else. So that's what I've got for today, is that I firmly believe that a lunch and learn is absolutely the best way to get clients. You know, we talk a lot about getting referrals, but in my world, if I had to do a lunch and learn versus asking every single client in my 600-person database for a referral, I'd take a lunch and learn any day.
I love that. And I have done a number of those. We used to call the ones that I would do were called dressing for yes.
Oh, I like that.
To say yes to you.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And we were going to use dress for success. Then we decided, well, you know, when you're dating somebody and you're going to propose, you want them to say yes. when you're going into a business appointment and pitching something, you want them to say yes. So
Okay.
you want people to say yes to you.
Oh, that's a good
And if your clothes send a message of no, 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 I don't want to deal with this person, you're getting a no based on
one.
what you're wearing.
That's a good
And
one.
that's a silly thing that you can control. So
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
that's what you want to tell people, is that this is within your control.
It is within.
And for some of these young guys, I bet that you've met over the years, um, I'll use my son's friend Wally as a great example. Before he moved to New York, he came to me. I've been trying for years to get his dad, who's a prominent person at UC, the University of California system, and I've been trying to get him as a client because he's tall and thin. He wears these droopy, baggy clothes that he's had for years. He's also raised 6 kids, so I kind of get it. But his son Wally came to me, and because I lent him a jacket for prom
Oh my
from
God.
my
Okay.
inventory, when he was moving away to take this job in New York, he's like, I want to start building the right pieces.
Oh, that's nice.
So shirt, chinos, a few things that fit him really well that he knew he could integrate into a bigger picture. And then he said, and they've been raised very well. He's like, I'll save for the other things and I'll come back to you. And I think that that too, for the young people, can be the message, buy a few pillar pieces,
Yeah.
amass your wardrobe slowly. It doesn't have to be overnight, but when you're looking for clothes, take Juliet's presentation, apply these things. When you go to try things on, do they fit?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's another thing. I used to always talk about, um, I had a client once that came in and he was like, oh, like, look at my cool new jacket. I'm like, the hell? Button that jacket. He's like, it's a sport coat. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, didn't you know sport coats aren't supposed to button? I'm like, dude, you got that at Brooks Brothers, and I will let you in on a secret. That guy sold you a jacket that doesn't fit, or you're too fat because that jacket doesn't fit. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, you can't button it. You are a 46 classic plus 2, and he jammed you into a 44 reg. You can't button that jacket. That was probably the last one they had on the floor. That's why you walked out in that jacket.
Yeah.
End of
Well,
story.
and to that same point, I have a client who bought, not from me, but bought a really great looking outerwear piece. And he brought it out and he said, I don't know what it is about this jacket. I never wear it. And it was actually a kind of a windstopper. And I had him put it on and I looked it on him. I said, the way this is supposed to be worn, and it was partially a very lightweight leather, and then it had like an insert here that zipped up. I said, let's zip this, but leave it unbuttoned because it folds back perfectly. And I folded it back and I said, that's the look. And he
Oh, so
looked at
you know how
himself.
to wear it. Yeah. Okay.
He didn't know how to wear it. And he went, oh, that changes everything. I was trying to button it and it didn't feel right. And I'm like, I wasn't sure what the designer had in mind, but now that we put it on you, now we know.
Oh, there you go. All
Yeah.
right. So I have a question for you. It's the start of the month.
Yep.
How did February come out for you? Because I know you and I both have, different selling styles.
Yep.
How'd you close out February?
I came in at 27,000, made the top 25 in the company, which is always kind of a minimum goal for me. But February, because we launched a new product line, is always where we have a lot of heavy selling in the top seller. So I'm not surprised I didn't end up higher. But I felt really good about it because my goal was to get over 20 and I got to 27, and I still had another order that I put in on
Okay.
March
So you
1st.
did a little sandbagging.
Yeah. How about you?
Well, I got one more question for you. And team wise, 4 legs or how many legs?
Only 2. So you did better than me on that one.
Well, no, this is not a competition, Christine, because so I
No, but we do spar a little bit.
we
So
do spar a little
yes.
bit. We do have different styles in our selling. So I came in around 13,000, just shy of 13,000. Um, but my big claim to fame is that I never leave my four-walled environment. But I did take a little trip to New York, 2 days in New York, and clipped through about 5 grand in New York, which was really kind of nice.
Yeah.
So about 13,000, and much better than my projected 8. 4 active legs, and I had about 60,000 under management this month, which was nice. So managing partner, but not senior managing partner. But I would like to kick it into high gear for the month of March, which for me would be senior managing partner this month, which means I need to pick, I need to throttle up some gas in my own selling this month. So if we're talking about goals for the month of March for me would be, I got to pull out all the stops and do some selling on my end and coach my team to sell as well.
Well, and what I will share that was exciting this week for me was that I had a great conversation with somebody in a faraway city because I kept pressing one of my good friends who lives there to think of somebody, and she thought of somebody who does women, who thought of somebody who might be great in men's.
Ooh.
So that's a March conversation. And then yesterday I went to a Rotary lunch because my husband's really close friend was presenting the vacation they took together last October. And I thought, oh, it'd be really fun to go see the slideshow from this.
Nice.
And he'd invited another couple, and she complimented me on my shoes. And Ron, who was presenting, commented that he was wearing a J.Hilburn shirt for the presentation.
Nice.
And she said that she loves clothes and that she always helps her men friends pick things out.
That's good.
And she sounded a lot like me. And I looked at her, I said, you should come work with me. And she said, I'm needing a job.
Ooh, that's always
So
a good thing. Yay. That's
we're
good.
having coffee next week. She was great. I said, do you have a lot of contacts? She says, I have tons of contacts, lots and lots of men.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow. And her husband was like, this sounds like a great opportunity for you. So he was right on board and thought that would be really fun. So I'm excited about my prospects to build a team back to where I don't have people that are stylists but aren't doing anything. But instead of
I believe you call those hobbyists.
Yes, or no, less than hobbyists. Hobbyists might sell a little bit.
Yeah.
These guys are just sitting on the sidelines. So I'd like to get 2 people who are actively involved with the business and want to sell every month and build something.
Get them in the game.
Yeah.
I was going to say something else about get them in the game. Shoot, I forgot what it was going to be. It'll come back.
So, well, and what I want to also share is that I did something this week. I've been creating reels, practicing on making reels, and I made one for my daughter on Instagram. Yeah. You need to go visit my Instagram.
I will visit your Instagram. I made
one for my daughter. She was having a rough week a couple weeks ago, and I made one for her that was just, I think you're fabulous and I love you and you're beautiful, inside and out. Okay. So I made that for her. And then my son was commenting. He said, oh, isn't that cute? And I talked to him on the phone. I said, do you want me to make one for you? And he said, sure. So for him, I made a very different one because I focused on his business. Mm-hmm. And the words I overwrote it was next to the definition of this, what did I say? Something like that. Your picture is next to the definition of the word intention. And I had Oprah talking about intention on one of the sound bits that I'd saved. And I showed him in his high school basketball uniform because getting onto that team was a major intention. He was like the last guy picked, and it has shaped his life. And then I showed him in his first BMW, which he bought in high school when he was 17, that he'd saved for. And then I showed a picture of him in his first clothing line. And then I showed him with some of the athletes that he's dressing now. And he loved it. And it was like, that felt like, showing a piece of me, what's really important to me is my kids and my respect and admiration for who they are and who they're becoming. And letting people know that side of our family. And I am using that to kind of practice so that I can get better at building reels and use that as a vehicle for helping people understand what it is we do.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a super good one. All right, my friend, we are officially out of time. Maybe somebody will listen to our podcasts. Or is this a podcast? No, this is just some bullshit that we're doing.
Watch your language, Juliet.
Well, you know what? I can say that if nobody watches it, but
yes.
All right.
No, people will watch it. Kimberly's going to watch it.
Somebody's got to watch it. Somebody's got to say, hey, you two yahoos, what are you doing? But
No, we're helping people get better at building their businesses. That's our goal.
This has some
That's our
good-
intention, Juliet.
It's our intention. This has some good content.
Very good content. I think we should share it beyond our own limited little walls of our teams.
Well, it's public on YouTube.
Okay, well, we're going to share it then.
You know what? I'll send it to James Burgess. I'll tell him that
Perfect.
I'll tell him he has to watch it all the way through and wait for the shout out at the end.
There you go.
All right. Love you. I'll talk to you
Bye.
later.
Have a great weekend. Thank you.
Bye.